I've spoken at length in videos on this particular channel about how I don't place a lot of faith in the analytics on YouTube. That is to say, the view counts, the views, the thumbs ups, everything like that. For me, my favorite aspect always conforms to the comments, the conversation I have back and forth with the people who, decide to spend their time with me and watch my content and carry on that conversation. But I was actually having a conversation with my brother from another mother, TJ Pyramid Joe, on YouTube, whose channel I highly recommend you check out. Basically talking about the analytics and the demographics and how interesting that information can be. Sometimes it's a little disheartening because, you find out people aren't sticking with your videos like you wish they would and everything. If you're tuned to that, it can influence you poorly, put it that way, when you look at it from a certain perspective. Like if you make sort of mountains out of molehills of the viewership, because sometimes the viewership is coming from very strange places, was the topic of the conversation. Talking about, like, for him, he was saying, the topmost tier is United States viewership, American viewership, and then the UK follows on from that, and then it's like Brazil and Africa, weird places. And for me, because I cover a lot of anime stuff, as might be expected, the US is of course the top tier, but then it goes into like Japan and Australia and then Europe, and it's kind of odd the way, I'm not sure how they gauge this viewership, these demographics, and as I say, getting into the idea of whether somebody clicks on your video to view it. I mean, I have a video that just went up as of the time of this recording the other day. It was an episode 9 review of a currently unfolding anime series, and within hours and within the last couple of days, it went from like the sort of average 20 to 50 some odd views. It's almost up to 600. And I'm like, WTF, what in the holy hell is going on there? That makes no sense to me because it's got like 2 likes, maybe 1 comment that I've already responded to, and it's got all these views, but there's like no interaction. And what that tells me is it seems to be that for whatever purpose, for whatever failing or whatever you want to call it, demographically, it's being picked up by Japan. And I don't know if external websites are picking it up and passing it around or what's happening exactly. It's getting recommended, alongside these people who pirate the episodes and upload them illegally onto YouTube. I'm not exactly sure. But it seems like a lot of people are clicking on that video and they click right off again after so many seconds because they hear me say, hey there, cats and kitties, I am the Bluesman. I'm speaking English. I'm not speaking their native language. And maybe they don't understand it. Maybe it ticks them off, pisses them off. I'm not exactly sure. But that is, like, strange to me, like, because we know there's such a sort of focus these days in the YouTube annals on viewer engagement. That means keeping people watching, and you have, again, that semi-disheartening aspect of the analytics, which are telling you, well, people aren't being engaged because maybe this video is being sent to another country, and they don't understand what you're saying, and so they're not going to watch it. They click right off again. Or maybe, you don't seem to be coming off as interesting. I'm somebody who really just has a nice little discussion talking about the emotions, the impetus, the characterizations behind, the scenario in the unfolding episode. And I guess some people maybe find that boring. Maybe they'd rather watch the sort of anime reviewer style I don't like, where you have people just sort of clipping everything in a very, encased in a nutshell format, or they're very sort of over the top, animated, overly animating themselves and being a caricature rather than actually giving you an in-depth discussion. And so I don't know. It just flotsses my mind to consider all these aspects, and this is largely why I ignore it. This is largely why I don't spend any time wasted, in my own sort of personal opinion, on obsessing about that. Obsessing about the need to have viewership, and obsessing about how many subscribers and how many views I have, because my most viewed video is upwards of 24,000 views. It's only like 3 going on 4 months old, talking about the Evangelion, CG animated short that came out sort of as an interstitial between the rebuild of Evangelion films. And it seems like this is a video based on the demographics I'm seeing where it's passed around through multi countries, multilingual countries that don't understand what the hell I'm even saying. And so they click on, click off, click on, click off. And so the views, it's almost a meaningless number because that's only so many people who've clicked on, but they aren't staying to watch. And it's kind of like, well, where's the clever medium? I know I have a small handful of people who do watch to the end of my videos, engage in the conversation. That is really the tantamount, most important aspect to me. But it does raise the question sometimes when you consider all of this stuff. How do you go about trying to engage a sort of mass audience and build that viewership? I don't think that necessarily should be as important, but should it be? Is the question I'm left with, because of all the mind game aspects of those analytics and the demographics and all that stuff. It's just like, I don't get it. I don't know. It just adds too much to think about to my mind. And, I think we're better off not losing sleep over it, personally.